Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to math class today. So last class we talked about the product rule of exponents, and today we're going to talk about the quotient rule. Now we're trying something different. I'm teaching you through video, and we'll see how this goes today, okay? So just to review for product rule, we have 3w parentheses negative 8w to the 7th. Remember, parentheses just mean multiply. And the first thing we need to do is multiply our constants, our numbers. So we do 3 times the negative 8, and we get negative 24. Then we need to add our exponents on our w's. Now we have a w to the 7th here, but what about this one right here? Remember, this w is a loner, so it just has a 1. We still have imaginary 1 right there, so that it is w to the first power. So we go w1, 1 plus 7 equals 8. So our answer would be negative 24w to the 8th power. Now today we're talking about the quotient rule. Now quotient just means the same thing as divide. So last class we talked about multiplication. Now we're going to talk about division. So let's look at number 1. It says rewrite using a single positive exponent. So I want to expand this first. I think that's going to be the easiest way to look at these. So I have 4 to the 7th power. So remember, that means we have 7 copies of 4. So I'm going to go 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then I'm dividing this, and it looks like I have 1 copy of 4. Now we've seen something like this before. Notice we have a 4 and a 4 on top and on bottom. When we have this, this means it's 4 divided by 4, which is the same thing as 1, or we can do my favorite part of math, which is cross it out. So now how many 4s do I have left over? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So to rewrite this with a single exponent, my answer is going to be 4 to the 6th power. Okay? So that's how we do it. Let's look at number 4, and then we'll look and see what our pattern is. So once again, let's expand this. I have 7 copies of x. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to divide this. I have 4 copies of x here. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now every time I see an x that's the same on top and bottom, I can cancel out. So there's a 1 right there I can cancel out. There's another one, and another one, and another one. So now, how many x's do I have left? Well, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3. So my answer is going to be x to the 3rd power. Okay, now does anyone see the pattern yet? When we were multiplying, we were adding the powers. When we're dividing, we're going to do the opposite of adding, and we're going to subtract. So how we do this is we take the smaller power, and we're going to bring it up to the top and subtract. So 7 minus 4 is 3. When we do it over here, we have 4 to the first power. We're going to bring that 1 up to the top. We're going to do 7 minus 1, which is 6. 4 to the 6th. Now let's look at number 6 just to make sure we have this side of it solidified. Okay. So once again, we look at our smaller power, which is 3, and we're going to bring it up to the top, and we're going to subtract. So what is 7 minus 3? Well, it's 4, so we get b to the 4th. That's our answer. But now, okay, this one's not on your notes, but I do want you to write it down. What if we had something like x squared over x to the 5th? When we bring, right, so far we've been bringing the 5, or the bottom number, up to the top and subtracting it. Okay, but when we do it this way, if we subtract by 5 here, we're going to get a negative exponent of negative 3. Now, we don't want to deal with negative exponents right now. We're going to be talking about that next time. So we want to not do this. So the other way we can do this is we bring the smaller power, the 2, down to the bottom. Now, when we bring it down to the bottom, we're bringing this whole, the 2 x's that we have on top, and we're bringing them down to the bottom. So when we do that, we're now left with x to the 3rd on bottom because we went 5 minus 2. Now on top, it's on bottom, so we have to keep it on bottom. On top, we have no x's, nothing up there anymore, but we still have a 1. Because if we had 0 there, then this thing wouldn't exist. And it still exists. So when you bring it from the top to the bottom, you put a 1 on top. So going back up to the top, here's what our quotient rule is. Okay? Our rule is we bring the smaller exponent to the bigger one, exponent, and subtract. Okay? And then just note, if you bring to bottom, must put a 1 on top. Okay? Now I know I'm moving kind of fast, so this video will be posted to my website, so you'll be able to see it. So now let's look at number 8. Okay, we're looking at number 8 over here. Notice now we have numbers in front. Okay, we're going to do this the same way. Just like up here when we multiplied the constants first, we're going to do the same thing here, except this time we're going to divide. So the first thing we need to do is divide or simplify our fractions, okay, or our constants, sorry, which is our numbers. And then our second step is to subtract exponents. So then, in this case, we're going to do 20 divided by 4. So we're left with 5 on top. We have x to the 3rd power divided by x to the 7th. That 4 disappeared. Now we bring that 3. We're going to bring it down to the bottom and subtract. So we're going to be left with 5 on top. That 5 is still up there at the top. We haven't brought it down. So we have x to the 4th power. And there's our answer. Okay, I'm going to do one more like this. Okay, number 9. And we need to simplify this fraction. So in your calculators, you can put 49 ABC 21. And when you do that, you're going to get 7 over 3. We still have u to the 5th over u squared. So we're going to bring the u, the 2nd power, up to the top because that's my smaller one. We're going 7u to the 3rd over 3. We still keep it over 3. This would be our answer right here. I'm going to leave number 10 for you to try on your own. But before we end, we do need to go over number 11. So, now this one's different because we now have 2 variables here. Now we're going to do it the same way. We're just going to look at the ones that are like bases. So since I have a b here and a b here, those are the 2 I'm looking at. So which one has the smaller power? That's the bottom one. We have a 1 right here. So we're going to bring that up and we're going to subtract 1. So on top, we're going to have b to the 5th power. Now we haven't touched the a's yet, so we still need to write our a's down. And now, we're going to simplify our a's. So am I going to bring the 7 down to the bottom or the 4 up to the top? If you answered 4 up to the top, we're going to bring our smaller power up. You are correct. So now we're going to have b to the 4th times a to the 7 minus 4 is 3. And there's our answer right there. Now on our last one, number 12, okay, notice we have x squared divided by x squared. Isn't that the same thing as x divided by x? It is. So these 2 things are just going to cancel out. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about why we would cancel those out on Tuesday. Okay, and now we have z to the 5th. So we're going to take our smaller power here, bring it up to the top, and subtract 4. So 5 minus 4 is just 1. We could just leave it as z, or you could put the first power on there if you want. You do not need to put that on there if you don't want to. Now, can we simplify this a at all? Doesn't look like we can because there's no a up here, so we're just going to leave a to the 6th on the bottom. Now, I know that was a quick overview of how we do the quotient rule, and so now I want you to finish up number 10 and then try your homework. We'll finish talking about this on Tuesday and start on our negative exponents.